The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Hey, welcome to McGeeUncensored with another edition of Pro Wrestling is Real review. This time I'll be talking about WWE Presents Extreme Rules, live on the WWE Network, pay-per-view, April 26th, emanating from Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. I will be going over the 8 tentative matches scheduled for Extreme Rules. That includes the pre-show. And let's get started with the pre-show. Matches: Tag Team Championship, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd versus The New Day. Most likely Kofi and Big E. Cesaro and Kidd might be working as the face team. And The New Day sucks. Well, the gimmick sucks because there was no in detail explanation as why these three came together. I think why the crowd chants New Day sucks is because they hate the gimmick. It's not necessarily they dislike the three guys in that faction. It's the gimmick is just terrible. Seems pretty blatantly stereotypical, and there just is no direction. Regardless, this is a nice opening match for the pre-show. Cesaro and Kidd most likely retaining the tag titles. Who they will face after the New Day remains to be seen. I don't know if this is going to develop into a medium-term feud for either team. Most likely, if Cesaro and Kidd keep getting the crowd reactions, they'll probably keep them face. So maybe the Ascension gets a tag title shot next. I don't know. Don't forget about the primetime players and millions of dollars cutting boring promos. Moving on, and up next, the main card, and in no particular order, because I don't know the order, which going to be first, but you know that the World Heavyweight Championship match is going to be last. I'm going to go start with the Chicago Street Fight. Dean Ambrose up against Luke Harper. This can go either way. I think Ambrose will come out victorious. Typical street fight brawl. Possible big bump spot that Harper may take. And I'm a fan of Luke Harper. I think he is a modern day Bruiser Brody. Some of you don't get that reference. Just look up stuff on YouTube or whatever you could find. And I really don't like to compare people, but it's uncanny what this guy I think can bring if elevated to upper mid main event status. Looking forward to when they finally release some merchandise, and if I feel like paying the $24.99 for it, of Luke Harper. With Ambrose, he needs a hot streak. He needs to win this match. Need to book him to win this match. He needs to go into SummerSlam strong. They need to stick with long-term booking with some guys and not on the fly stuff. Don't let the crowd dictate as much as they have been the last few years, but in the crowd's defense, audience's defense, universe's defense, the majority has been right. I'm speaking towards Daniel Bryan and Ziggler and a few others. I think Ambrose just needs to work a cleaner style in ring. Next match I have written down, Kiss Me Arse match, featuring Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus. Why is it that every big guy cutting promos is not today? Is now it seems like a 1980s big guy promo. I'm the biggest guy in the company. Look at these short guys. They don't belong. It's very ancient writing, whoever's coming up with these promos for Sheamus and Big Show. Sheamus is a stealth character, face or heel. He's a channel changer. Once he comes on, you change the channel. I don't know if anything can be done to save him, but people must like him in the company, and he continues to get the push. I don't like the bury guys. I like from an observational point of view, think that almost anybody can have a chance. But there are those who are obvious enhancement talents, and there are those who are the upper mid-card to main event talents. I don't want to necessarily stick all the big guys in one division and then just have them all brawl it out. But I'm tired of the David versus Goliath storyline, and I'm not calling Dolph Ziggler David, and Sheamus sure as heck ain't no Goliath. But like I said moments ago, they book some big guys like it's the 1980s, and it's just so old and outdated. It's laughable. I honestly don't care who wins this match, and that's not, like I said, it's not a slight on Ziggler. But I'm trying to run the scenarios through my head on the possible finish. And when I do these wrestling episodes, I don't want to be a fantasy booker. I try to be as realistic as possible when it comes to the matches and the shows. But if I'm in the 1980s booking mindset, I gotta go with Sheamus. Somehow I don't think it's going to be a clean victory with the brogue kick, because they got to establish that these big guys are dominant and they win battle royals of insignificance. I don't even like saying that Sheamus may win this match. I don't know. Speaking of duds, next match I've written down, last man standing match between Roman Reigns and The Big Show. I just find some irony with the last man standing match. If they both took the microphone and started to cut a promo on each other, they would both be out for the count of 10, and so would the audience. I don't know if the backstage consensus is when they're sitting in creative and they go, Big Show is still a draw. He's an attraction. Let's use him as such. And I know I have to suspend belief for a little bit, but he probably throws one of the weakest right hands for a guy who's 7 foot tall and that big. I understand you got to put your punches. I know it's not real people. I understand that. But he just makes it look so bad. Big Show's another channel changer. I accidentally paid attention to one of his promos, and I kind of hate myself for it, because I don't know what he said. He's constructing nothing of importance that came out of his mouth. It's more the fact that this is the small feud Reigns should have had before maybe winning the Rumble, or right after, if him and Big Show were one of the last few in the ring at the Rumble. But if you watch the Rumble, everybody knows how poorly booked it was once again. And how does it feel to be Roman Reigns from going to winning the Rumble, not getting accepted by the universe, losing WrestleMania, and then not even main eventing the next pay-per-view, but going into a match with The Big Show? Two lumbering big guys punching each other for 10 minutes until the Superman punch and the spear, and Reigns wins in some fashion. And not to jump to the main event real quick, with Seth Rollins, who's in such a role since he won the title, I can't foresee Roman Reigns winning that belt for at least a couple months, maybe a year. Because you got to remember, Lesnar will be back, and he'll probably be back for SummerSlam, and you have to have Lesnar win at SummerSlam. You have to. And so the question coming out of the last man standing match is, where does Roman Reigns go from here? I know that there have been advertisements, I think, for the pay-per-view next month, or June. It's a triple threat with Orton, Reigns, and Rollins. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I guess that could work. I don't know. Do you like divas? Do you want divas? Hashtag give divas a chance. Divas title match, Nikki Bella versus Naomi, in a spot originally for Paige. But Paige is going to be off making a movie, and her Hollywood career is probably going to be taking off at such a young age. So who knows how much longer Paige will actually be in the company. I'm sure she's very passionate about wrestling. Her family's very passionate. She comes from a long lineage. But she's not in this match. Nikki Bella and Naomi is. Naomi being one of the more athletic divas on the roster. What do you say about this match, other than Nikki Bella retaining the Divas title there's a consistency there with Nikki Bella retaining, more than likely holding on until SummerSlam, where I think it's going to be her versus Paige. And if you do look closely at the Divas roster, there's a seriously, I don't know if necessarily a lack of depth, but certainly a lack of who's next. The Bellas, Naomi, Paige, and you could throw Natalia in there maybe, are the only legitimate ones that could carry the title if they're going to prominently start putting on longer diva matches and making that title, I guess, worth something, excuse me. And I know there's a ton of talent on the NXT roster waiting to get called up, male and female, and that's only a matter of time. And there's a question, not to be facetious or anything, if a diva held the title for over a year, would anybody really notice? Now I've got some bad news. A match that is tentatively still scheduled, the Intercontinental title match, Daniel Bryan versus Bad News Barrett. This match hinges on the speculation of health. Daniel Bryan, if he gets a full, clean bill of health, I see him retaining the IC title match. If there comes reports that he is unhealthy, suffering some kind of lingering injury, Bad News Barrett will, put the belt on Barrett. Daniel Bryan's worked a rough style his entire career. If you followed it, look at some of his ROH stuff, Japan. It's a brutal style, and he has no intentions of slowing down. And that's fine. He's still young, in his early 30s, and he is one of, if not the most over guy in the company. I'd go Lesnar, Bryan, Cena as far as top face guys or good guys. When you see certain guys on the bill, on the card, the expectation is that it's going to be a solid match no matter what or who they are facing. And these are two solid workers, Bryan and Barrett. And I think it would be a solid match. And I'm going to go with Bryan retaining the IC title. And now one of the matches that actually fall under the banner of Extreme Rules, the ever so vicious Russian chain match for the United States Championship, featuring John Cena and Rusev with Lana. This one probably be an old slobber knocker. Cena being victorious, because you're not going to come out with John Cena merchandise when he wins a new title and then have him lose it barely a month after he wins it. I expect a long reign for Cena with the U.S. title, as I expect Daniel Bryan, if he's healthy, a long reign with the IC title. I do believe titles hold meaning. They have been devalued, especially in the Attitude Era, early 2000s, with how quick a turnover, they switched hands. I think long reigns mean something. I think, you have, like I said, long-term booking. You know who these guys are going to go into feuds with after they finish up with the person they're currently with. On-the-fly booking only works if you strike while the iron's hot. And that is just with a handful of people you change the booking with. I remember when Hulk Hogan came back to the company in 2002, he started as the NWO. At WrestleMania, he fought The Rock. The Canadian crowd turned him face. He was turned face because of the Canadian crowd in the Sky Dome. They went nuts. If you could find that clip, watch it. It was just unreal watching. It was surreal watching it. He's turned face. He gets a title run. Triple H didn't have the title that long, but he understood it was best for business, and they had Hogan do another run to get fighting the Undertaker or something. But that's a case of on-the-fly booking that works. Now back to the match. Rusev will probably be booked to look strong still. I don't know how much longer they're going to keep the pairing of him and Lana going. Apparently she's up for major things here in the future. I can only imagine what Vince McMahon has in mind for Lana. Anyway, this should be the send-off match for Cena Rusev. Move them on to new things, especially Rusev. Make him look strong. But they built this guy up. They built Rusev up to be this unstoppable machine, this force. And, he has a legitimate background, being a tough guy, gets into the feud with the company's top guy. Then, where do you go with him after that? Do you leave him off TV for a little bit? Let him and the crowd get over the loss to Cena so he's not made to look as weak in the eyes of the crowd? Or do you make him go into this monster run again? In a different world, I think Rusev would have been booked for a world heavyweight title run and a long one. But it wasn't meant to be. Cena does a open challenge every Monday night. There's pros and cons to that. Pros is you don't really know who's going to come out to face him. The con is he's going to win. So, as much as a surprise as it may be, whoever's coming down that aisle, the likelihood of them winning is slim to none, and Slim left town. I mean, there'll be quality matches put on, but don't expect a title change. And it's nice to highlight some of the roster. If a heel held that U.S. title, it would have been great to turn somebody face, down the road and then come out and beating whoever held the title. But I don't know if you could turn somebody heel and it worked the same way and then beating Cena. See, I include logic and reasoning when I do previews or reviews and I talk about wrestling. And it's something that in the own little bubble of the creative and management of companies, that doesn't exist. Now it's time for the main event. World Heavyweight Championship match. Challenger Randy Orton versus the champion Seth Rollins with Kane as Guardian of the Gate. It would have been a really cool tag team name for two destructive people, Guardians of the Gate. Could have worked for Kane and Undertaker as a second name if they didn't have the Brothers of Destruction. And creative should run with that, man. Think of the marketing opportunities, the t-shirts. Kane, Guardian of the Gate. I don't know, it'd be pretty cool. It looks like Kane, another big guy who's been with the company for nearly 20 years as the Kane character, is in line for a possible face turn and run. So that's exciting. He's a solid hand in the ring. There's nothing wrong with him. Maybe him and the Rusev feud. That wouldn't be bad. I hope this match is better than a WrestleMania match. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for that RKO at the end, the match would have been maybe a 2-star. It wasn't that great. It really wasn't. If you go back and look at it, it was okay. And this one will probably be another methodical, feeling one another out type of match. Kane using some psychology, having the conflict of he should help Seth Rollins retain the title or not. RKO is banned. What's running through my head is if it's going to be a clean victory for Rollins. I don't like when main events have a sketchy ending to it, a sketchy finish. I'm not saying that there can't be interference, but if it's interference by somebody who's turning and not multiple interference, like the old ECW main event, lights go out, Tommy Dreamer, lights go out, Jake Roberts, lights go out, Jerry Lawler. It's like you didn't know what the heck was going on in the match. Yeah, the crowd popped for it, and it was nice, but can we just get a clean finish to a main event? That's all. That's all I'm asking. And if the rematch is in the works for the next pay-per-view, as it's been advertised, I don't think that this will be a clean finished main event. And how about Randy Orton? 13 years of complacency. Can you tell the difference between when he's a heel and a face? Look, the ladies love him. Brings in merchandise. Brings in a certain audience. But when he had that title run, it was 2 years ago. It's probably one of the worst heavyweight world title runs in recent memory. I really think the majority of the viewing audience and fans in the universe forgot that he was even the heavyweight champ because that's when Daniel Bryan rose to prominence. Yet they insisted on keeping the belt on Orton or Cena at the time. Orton's still young. He is. But is he going to get another title run? I don't know. Maybe he's a good guy. But certainly not this summer. Look, there's no denying that Rollins has been a competent champion since he won at WrestleMania. He carries himself well on the mic, can certainly deliver in the ring. And they struck while the iron's hot. And I think he holds onto the title until SummerSlam. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's proven so far that he's not a bust. and he'll most likely remain in the title picture for the foreseeable future. Rollins is going to get destroyed by Lesnar. I mean, it's going to be an entertaining match. It's going to be a good match. But Lesnar's he's just a beast, obviously. That's no knock on his, he's a beast. But Rollins has done a good job so far keeping the attention on him, diverting it away from the fact that, Lesnar's off TV, and he'll feud with Orton and Reigns over the summer until SummerSlam. And this is where long-term booking plays an important role, because for the next 3.5 months, there has to be consistency to the storylines, the angles. And I got to say that fan interest, at least in my area, has picked up. My brother started to watch it more. He never really was a big fan, but he's starting to watch it. My neighbor, and friend, he always been watching since he was a kid. I get into discussions with people at the bars. Not that I'm going to the bars all the time, but comes up and then we talk about it. And my friend Jen, she wants to be a WWE diva. I had to give a shout out to you there, Sasko, if you listen. And she was brought in into the viewing audience from Total Divas, and I think they finally recognized that. As long as WWE, corporate, whatever, keeps a steady hand on the product, it's going to be a nice summer to watch and to see what happens. So until next time, this is McGee Uncensored saying, wrestling is real!